February 28, 1996, Buckingham Palace. A meeting Diana wasn't invited to. The Queen's private secretary, the Home Secretary, Metropolitan Police officials, Charles's representatives. Topic of discussion: Princess Diana's security. The conclusion was unanimous. Remove her royal protection officers immediately. She's no longer HRH, no longer entitled to full security. Let her hire her own bodyguards. One official raised a concern, but she's still mother of the future king, still a target for terrorists, kidnappers, unstable individuals. The response was cold. That's her problem now, not ours. On March 1st, 1996, Diana's official royal protection was withdrawn. 18 months later, Diana would be dead in a Paris tunnel, with inadequate security, pursued by paparazzi, in a car driven by a drunk driver. The missing security didn't cause the crash, but it created the conditions that made it possible. This is the story of who cut Diana's protection, why they did it, and how that decision killed her. To understand the removal of Diana's security, you need to understand what royal protection means. Royal protection officers are elite, specially trained, armed, connected to intelligence services. They have authority to clear crowds, demand cooperation, access diplomatic channels. They're not just bodyguards. They're a comprehensive security apparatus with resources, connections, power. Diana had this protection from her wedding day until her divorce. 15 years of top-level security. Then it was gone, stripped away, deliberately, punitively, fatally. The official justification was budgetary. Royal protection is expensive. Diana is no longer HRH, no longer working royal, doesn't require this level of security. The Metropolitan Police claimed they couldn't justify the cost. Approximately £600,000 per year for Diana's protection team, in a country with budget constraints, with other security priorities. Diana's protection was excessive, unnecessary, not justifiable. But this was a lie, a convenient excuse. The real reason for removing Diana's security was punishment, control, and something darker, something nobody wanted to say out loud. Prince Philip was instrumental in the decision. He'd been furious about Diana's Panorama interview, her criticism of Charles, her questioning whether he should be king. Philip saw Diana as a threat to Charles, to William's future, to the monarchy itself. Philip wrote in his notes, "Diana has proven she cannot be trusted. She's unstable, vindictive, dangerous. We must limit her access, her influence, her ability to damage the institution." Removing security was part of that strategy. Make Diana vulnerable. Make her feel unsafe. Make her understand that she'd lost royal protection in every sense. Physical protection, legal protection, institutional protection. All gone. Because she'd spoken out. Because she'd told the truth. Because she'd embarrassed the family. The Home Secretary, Michael Howard, signed the order removing Diana's protection. Years later, he claimed it was a routine decision, based on threat assessment. Standard protocol for non-working royals. But documents released decades later told a different story. The threat assessment for Diana was actually elevated. She received more death threats than any royal except the Queen. She was a target for terrorists, stalkers, obsessed individuals. The assessment recommended continued protection, but it was overruled. By whom? The documents don't say. Names are redacted, but sources close to the decision point to Philip, to Charles, to palace officials who wanted Diana punished, who wanted her controlled, who wanted her afraid. Diana fought the decision. She wrote to the Home Secretary, to the Prime Minister, to anyone who would listen. "I'm the mother of the future king. I'm still a target. I still face threats. I need protection." Her requests were denied. The decision was final. Diana could hire private security, pay for it herself. But she wouldn't get royal protection officers, wouldn't get armed guards, wouldn't get the resources and authority that came with official protection. Diana was on her own, vulnerable, exposed, exactly as the palace intended. The private security Diana hired was inadequate. These were former police officers, military personnel, competent but limited. They couldn't carry weapons in most countries, couldn't demand cooperation from local authorities, couldn't access intelligence briefings, couldn't provide the comprehensive security Diana needed. Diana knew this, complained about it constantly. My security is useless. They can't protect me, can't control the paparazzi, can't do anything except watch. But Diana couldn't afford better. The divorce settlement gave her £17 million, but security costs were enormous. Diana was paying hundreds of thousands per year for security that barely worked, for protection that couldn't protect, for bodyguards who were overwhelmed by the constant paparazzi presence, the celebrity stalkers, the obsessed individuals, the threats that kept coming. The paparazzi noticed the change immediately. Diana's new security couldn't control them, couldn't push them back, couldn't demand space. The photographers became more aggressive, closer, more invasive, more dangerous. They'd follow Diana's car at high speed, cut her off in traffic, surround her whenever she stepped outside. Diana complained to police, to the Press Complaints Commission, to anyone who would listen. Someone's going to get killed. Either me or a photographer or an innocent bystander. This is dangerous, out of control. Her complaints were noted, ignored. Nothing changed, because Diana no longer had the authority to make things change, no longer had the institutional backing, no longer had the protection that would have made people listen. Diana was just another celebrity now, harassed, vulnerable, unprotected. Mohammed Al Fayed offered Diana security, his own team, his resources, his connections. Diana was skeptical at first. Why would he do this? But Diana was desperate. Her private security wasn't working. She needed help. So she accepted Mohammed's offer. Used his security team when traveling on his yacht, when staying at his properties, when traveling to Paris on that final trip. Mohammed's security seemed professional, well-trained, competent, but they weren't. They were bodyguards, not royal protection officers. They didn't have the training, the protocols, the resources, the authority, and crucially, they answered to Mohammed, not to Diana. Their loyalty was to their employer, not to their principal. Diana thought she was being protected. Really, she was being managed, controlled, put in situations that served Mohammed's interests, not Diana's safety. The Ritz security failure on August 30th, 1997 was catastrophic. Henry Paul was deputy head of security, but he was drunk that night, on medication, in no condition to work, let alone drive. But nobody stopped him. Nobody checked. Mohammed's security team should have prevented this, should have tested Henry Paul, should have used a professional driver, should have followed proper protocols. But they didn't. Why? Some say incompetence. Others say something darker. That Henry Paul was allowed to drive because it served someone's purpose. Whose purpose? We'll never know for certain. But the missing royal protection officers would never have allowed this, would have had their own drivers, their own cars, their own protocols. Diana would have been safe, protected, alive. The decoy car plan was amateur hour. Royal protection officers would never have approved it, would never have used a drunk driver, would never have chosen a route through a tunnel at high speed, would never have allowed Diana to travel without seatbelts. Every decision that night violated basic security protocols. Every choice increased risk. Every action made the tragedy more likely. This is what happens when you remove professional security, when you cut protection for political reasons, when you punish someone by making them vulnerable. The consequences are fatal, predictable, preventable. But they happened anyway, because Diana's security was missing, stripped away, deliberately, by people who knew exactly what they were doing, what the risks were, what the consequences could be. After Diana's death, multiple investigations examined the security failures. The British inquiry, the French investigation, the coroner's inquest, all concluded that better security could have prevented the tragedy. That royal protection officers would have made different decisions, would have kept Diana safe. The investigation stopped short of blaming specific individuals. Names were not named, decisions were not explained, but the conclusion was clear. Removing Diana's royal protection created the conditions for her death, made her vulnerable to the cascade of failures that killed her. The investigations recommended changes, better security for former royals, clearer protocols, more protection. But for Diana, these recommendations came too late. She was already dead, killed partly by the security that wasn't there, the protection that was removed, the bodyguards who were stripped away. For political reasons, for petty revenge, for institutional cruelty. That ultimately proved fatal. Prince Philip never expressed regret about removing Diana's security, never acknowledged that the decision contributed to her death. In private conversations revealed years later, Philip maintained the decision was correct. Diana was no longer royal, didn't deserve royal protection. The cost wasn't justified. When told that better security might have saved Diana, Philip reportedly said, "That's speculation. We made the right decision based on the information available." Cold, unrepentant, refusing to accept responsibility. Classic Philip, classic Windsor. Classic psychological warfare that extended beyond the grave. Refusing to admit that the Cold War had casualties, that the punishment had consequences, that removing Diana's security wasn't just political, it was deadly. Charles has been more circumspect. He's never directly discussed the security decision, never acknowledged his role, never admitted that he supported removing Diana's protection. But documents show Charles's office was involved in the discussions. Charles's representatives attended the meetings. Charles benefited from Diana being vulnerable, being controlled, being unable to move freely, being dependent on others for security. Charles won't admit it, but he was complicit in the decision, in the consequences, in Diana's death, by supporting the removal of her protection, by allowing her to be made vulnerable, by prioritizing institutional interests over his ex-wife's safety. Charles is king now, but he'll always be the man who let Diana's security be stripped away, who stood by while she was made vulnerable, who benefited from her weakness, her fear, her inadequate protection. That eventually killed her. The Metropolitan Police have never formally apologized, never acknowledged wrongdoing, never admitted that removing Diana's protection was a mistake. Their official position remains that the decision was appropriate based on threat assessment and budgetary constraints. But internal documents tell a different story, of political pressure, of palace influence, of decisions made for non-security reasons. The Met was told to remove Diana's protection, and they complied, even though their own assessments recommended continued security, even though they knew Diana faced elevated threats, even though they knew private security couldn't provide adequate protection. The Met followed orders, and Diana paid the price. The bodyguard who survived, Trevor Rees-Jones, has lived with tremendous guilt. He was Diana's protection that night. He failed. Diana died. Trevor survived, because he wore a seatbelt. Trevor has said repeatedly, if Diana had proper royal protection, she'd be alive. We wouldn't have been in that car, with that driver, in that situation. Royal protection officers would have prevented every mistake that night, but we weren't royal protection. We were inadequate private security, overwhelmed, outmatched, unable to keep Diana safe, and she died. Because her real security was taken away, by people who should have protected her, by an institution that should have valued her, by a family that should have kept her safe. But they didn't. They stripped her protection, made her vulnerable, and she died. That's the truth, however uncomfortable, however damning, however clear the blame. Diana died because her security was missing. And her security was missing because powerful people wanted it that way, for reasons they've never explained, never justified, never admitted. The missing security killed Diana, as surely as the drunk driver, as certainly as the paparazzi chase, as fatally as the crash itself. Because without protection, Diana was defenseless, vulnerable, doomed. Mohammed Al-Fayed has used the security failure to support his conspiracy theories. Diana was murdered. Her protection was deliberately removed to make her vulnerable, to set up the assassination. Mohammed's theories have been investigated repeatedly, debunked thoroughly. No evidence of assassination, no proof of conspiracy, just incompetence, bad decisions, tragic mistakes. But Mohammed's core point isn't entirely wrong. Diana's protection was deliberately removed. She was made vulnerable. The conditions for her death were created intentionally, not for assassination, but for control, for punishment, for revenge. The palace didn't want Diana killed. They wanted her weakened, afraid, dependent. The fact that removing her security ultimately contributed to her death was unintended, but not unforeseeable, not unpredictable, not surprising. When you remove someone's protection, when you make them vulnerable, when you strip away the systems keeping them safe, bad things can happen, will happen, did happen. Diana's security was missing, and Diana died. The connection is undeniable, however much the palace wants to deny it, however much they want to avoid responsibility, however much they want to pretend the decision was routine, normal, justified. It wasn't. It was political, punitive, fatal. Prince William understands the truth. He knows his mother's security was removed deliberately, knows it contributed to her death, knows who made the decision and why. William has made sure Kate has full royal protection, always, permanently, non-negotiable. William won't repeat his grandfather's mistakes, won't let political considerations override security needs, won't risk his wife's life for institutional convenience. William learned from Diana, from her vulnerability, from her death, from the missing security that should have saved her. William won't let that happen again, to Kate, to his children, to anyone he has the power to protect. It's his way of honoring Diana, of acknowledging the truth, of admitting what the palace won't, that removing Diana's security was wrong, dangerous, deadly, and it should never happen again. Harry is more direct. He's said publicly that Meghan faced similar security issues, that the palace refused adequate protection, that Harry had to pay for private security himself, that the vulnerabilities that killed Diana were being recreated. Harry refused to accept it, left Britain, moved to America, where he could control security, where Meghan would be safe, where the palace couldn't make his wife vulnerable. Harry's departure is his testimony, his accusation, his evidence that the palace still uses security as a weapon, still strips protection for political reasons, still endangers people who threaten the institution. Harry left because he wouldn't watch Meghan suffer Diana's fate, wouldn't see his wife made vulnerable, wouldn't risk her life, for duty, for the crown, for the family that let his mother die. Today, the rules have changed. The palace provides security more broadly now. Former royals receive protection more consistently. The lessons of Diana's death have been partially learned, partially implemented, but the fundamental dynamic remains. Security is still a tool of control, still granted or withheld based on political considerations, still used to manage behavior, punish dissent, enforce compliance. Diana's death should have changed everything, should have made security untouchable, should have made safety automatic. It didn't. The palace still decides who gets protected, who gets abandoned, who gets kept safe, and who gets left vulnerable to threats, to dangers, to death. The missing security that killed Diana wasn't an accident, wasn't a mistake, wasn't an oversight. It was a decision made by powerful people for political reasons, with fatal consequences that they've never admitted, never apologized for, never truly learned from. Diana's security was missing, and Diana died. That's not conspiracy, that's not speculation, that's just truth. Uncomfortable, damning, undeniable. Truth. From Diana's letter to her lawyer, October 1996, 10 months before her death. I'm terrified. Every day, every moment. My security is inadequate. The paparazzi are out of control. I've had near misses in traffic, close calls in crowds, threatening letters, stalkers, and my bodyguards can't protect me, can't control the situation, can't keep me safe. I've begged the palace for proper security, for royal protection officers, for the protection I had before. They refuse, say I don't qualify anymore, say it's too expensive, say I should have thought about security before the divorce, before the panorama interview, before speaking out. This is punishment, clear and deliberate. They're making me vulnerable to teach me a lesson, to show me what happens when you embarrass the family, when you tell the truth, when you refuse to stay silent. The lesson is clear. Without their protection, I'm prey, hunted, defenseless. And they're enjoying watching me suffer, watching me panic, watching me realize that without royal security, I'm nothing. Just another target, just another celebrity, just another person who could disappear, and nobody would really care, nobody who matters, nobody with power. I'm writing this down, documenting it, in case something happens, in case I don't survive this. I want people to know the palace removed my security, made me vulnerable, put me in danger, deliberately, knowingly, cruelly. If I die, if something happens. It's not an accident. It's the result of decisions made by people who wanted me weakened, wanted me afraid, wanted me gone. Remember that. Please. Remember that my security was missing, and remember who took it away, and why, and what that means. About them, about this institution, about what they're capable of. When someone becomes inconvenient, embarrassing, threatening, they remove your protection, make you vulnerable, and wait for something to happen, for fate to intervene, for tragedy to strike, and then they express shock, sadness, sympathy. As if they didn't create the conditions, as if they didn't make it possible, as if they didn't know exactly what they were doing when they took away my security and left me alone, unprotected, waiting for the end.